We are live. Let me refresh and make sure you can see us, hear us before we start. All right, let me see who's here in the chat. I know Mondays, it's a little slower compared to Wednesdays, but we have dedicated people. So let's see. Emmanuel, what's up? Ain't copped anything for Yeezy Day today. R&J Funky Finds, what up? SA, Patrick. Saw a pic of Jordan 1 University Blue at Nike Outlet. D-Bay, Kevin, William Perry, Radio, what's up? Big Money Mo, he changed his name, it just says BMM.
Yep, we'll see.
What
if
was
that's
that?
the real one.
Astro Drip, Lucky in 3 Legs.
Yo, I'll be back. Let me grab water real quick.
Okay, this guy needs to be hydrated, refreshed.
Go off.
Manny Fresh, what up? And we'll wait and we'll get some more people coming in. So sales definitely improving. People back to work, people back to school. I like that. Unfortunately, I don't know whatever the news is telling you, but of course they're gonna keep showing where's Mr. Eric, our hospital nurse correspondent that will tell us what's going on. So build your inventory because you never know what's going to happen. But if you have plenty of inventory, you'll be set just like 2020. Let me see. Logged into my official account now. Oh, there we go. Big Money Mo. That's what we wanted to see. Jose, what's up? Yeezy Supply sucks ass. All right. SA, I'm here. Go get that AMC stocks as R&J.
All I know, if it happens again, Dogecoin, baby.
Miles, what up? Good Monday. Good to be here. Motivation and Mindset Monday. Josh Leva, what up? Today, unleash your Mamba mentality. This might be part 1 of like 10. We might need like a Mamba mentality every month, like once a month.
Yeah, we have to.
Because there's like so many different talking points and tips and things like that. So today we do have 5 ways to unleash your Mamba mentality, part 1. There you go. Manuel says just bought some Dogecoin today. I don't know why. Oh man. AN, what's up, fellas?
Can't make the same mistake twice.
Already positioned for lockdown sneakers and stocks. Big Money Mo, my boy's ready for anything. First of the month, Mamba mentality. There we go. I like that. Forgot. First week. We're now in August. Preseason football on Friday. Well, actually, on Thursday. Into no more non-Sundays of no football. So from here on out, football. We're ready.
Man, this guy's pumped.
Man. Which also, it's also time, we get like a little bit of a change in weather and then start getting into, the sales.
Yeah.
We'd like to see into Q4. So, all right, here we go. 5. Let's just start. 5 ways to unleash your Mamba mentality. Even some things that when I was doing this, getting all the notes together, I was like, things I didn't really think about, actually. So this is going to be different because the other ones we've seen kind of repetitive things. But here we go. All right, number 1. You have to ask yourself this question. What fuels you? Ooh. Now, last time we said what motivates you. Some people said, my kids, I just had a baby. Seeing my baby's face motivates me, keeps me going. But we want to find that deep, dark side. What fuels you to keep going, to keep up with the business, success, motivation, things like that. So Kobe said in an interview, he wanted to see Shaq win a title with the Miami Heat. He said he wanted it. He needed it. That was his fuel. Oh. So he wanted people to say, you see, Shaq doesn't need you.
Right.
He won on his own. You need him. Mm-hmm. You can't win without Shaq.
Right.
You were selfish. You should have just been the Robin to
Right.
his Batman, and that's it. You should have worked it out. You could have just been the sidekick, won titles, you're done.
Right.
But he said he watched the whole celebration of Shaq and D Wade when they won the title. He sat there, he watched the entire thing, and then he hit the gym right after.
With
So he
LeBron
went.
and Chris Bosh, though.
Oh no! What, D Wade? No, I'm talking about
Oh,
Shaq and D Wade
oh,
when they won.
Okay,
So when
okay.
they won the title, Kobe watched it on TV, the full celebration, to get that fuel in him.
Who was with him? Who was with Shaq that time? D Wade.
I think Gary Payton was there, right?
And then
Was
his own
Jason Williams there too?
Haslam was there.
Yeah.
Was Chalmers there, right?
Yeah.
Who else?
That's a good question. It's all I can think of right now. Maybe the
Alonzo
chat kid.
Mourning was there, right? Did he win his ring?
Yeah, he was there.
The
chat will see.
Was it Ariza?
Posey, maybe. Antoine Walker, maybe he was there. So, so Kobe seeing him win, hits the gym that same night. From there on, going forward, every single day, hitting the gym, training nonstop. So that was his fuel for that to keep going. So in the chat, what fuels you? What gets you going? Now, for some people, it is kind of like, for me, at least for me, I feel like always trying to put my mindset into that like underdog mindset. Not like having that thought that like, man, I figured everything out. I know everything. I have a system in place. I'm just going to keep killing it. Or I don't know, for some reason, just kind of like we talked about ego in the past, just keeps creeping up. But I feel like you have to go back to the underdog mindset and think about the things like maybe if you were, I don't know, bullied or told things that you would never succeed in a certain way. You would never do certain things, people trying to put you down, those type of things. I remember in college, like for me, switching my major into graphic design, being an art major. I remember my advisors were like, all right, go ahead and do it. Because I was switching from computer science, and I switched, and they're like, go ahead and do it. Just let you know you're not going to make any money. And I was like, all right, I like listening to this. I like, this is going to fuel me. Now, the degree did help, but I'm also reselling stuff. So it's kind of like, I mean, it helped for a certain point.
Yeah, I mean, it got you to this point, really, right? Well, you didn't make money doing it, right? But
yeah. Well, I did through Merch by Amazon. So I made 6 figures on t-shirt design, so that did help. But for B, what do you think, for you would be that fuel?
I think it's like the competitiveness that I have in me. You know how people kind of like, there's a saying like, don't compare yourself to others, right? I mean, you see, like, that's only applicable if you're trying to compare yourself to somebody in your same level or lower level than you. Never ever do that, because it really doesn't take a lot to be better than who you're comparing yourself to, right? So what I usually do is I try to compare myself to somebody like 10 years ahead of me, 20 years ahead of me. So in that kind of mindset, like whether it be in business, financially, relationship wise, I'd be like, man, I want to be able to do what they're doing in their 40s in my 30s. I want to be able to do what they're doing in their 50s in my 30s. So like for me, like, yeah, it's comparison, but it's more competitiveness and competing with people that have a lot more years than I do, because in the line that they had more time than you, right? Because we all have the same time, right? So everybody in the same age as I do had the same time, but what I want to compete against are people that had more time than me. It was really, I figured it out even when I was racing cars. I wanted to compete with people that spent more money, 10 times than my car. They had more experience than I did. So I kind of challenged myself looking at that, and it actually helps me from thinking too much about about the people in my level. So I can't, like that insecurity gets up. It's not there because going to where you were saying earlier, yeah, if I'm comparing myself to somebody, 10, 20 years ahead of me, now I'm the underdog.
Yeah.
Now I'm the dude that's inexperienced. Now I'm the dude I'm a challenger now. So I guess it goes both hand in hand, right? Like now, like you're trying to achieve something that you're not supposed to be achieving, or you've been told that you can't do it.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that brings out like, like there was a story like when Michael Phelps practiced every Sunday, and most of his colleagues were off on Sundays. So after a year, he was way ahead. He was 54 days, 52 weeks, 52 days ahead of his competitor. He said in 3 years, oh, I said in 6 years, he was a year ahead in training by everybody in his category, right?
Mm.
So he was looking at that. Was that, what could you do more? So that is the reason why, my mentality is like I'll sleep when the listing is done. I'll
Yeah.
sleep when the task is done because I want to get it done now. So yeah, competing with people ahead, and then because like it we say like you have to compare yourself with yourself. Try to beat yourself. Like, yeah, it's good, but it's really not that hard to beat yourself if you truly know who you are. Think about it. I
Yeah.
mean, you truly know who you are. What's your weakness? Ah, man, B wakes up at 10. All I have to do tomorrow is wake up at 9, right? Like I beat myself already, right? So yeah, I like to challenge myself to compete with people way further than I am.
Let me see the chat. So there's some pretty good stuff in here. Paula says, yeah, computer science just retiring. So congrats on that. Radio also here, asking questions, computer science. Someone said I should have stated computer science. What was the other one on here? Oh, there you go. D-Bay, computer science is my field. Demand misinformation in hand. What up? Miles says the fact that I hate losing. Um, and also Big Money Mo, I can't sit still, so I'm always making moves. Results come on their own. Let me see. We go down to 13 Dimes. What up? Doing our own unique thing that has purpose and brings us joy. William Perry, look at your calves. Let me keep going down. Let me see. I stay in my lane because I can move faster than switching between lanes, says SA. That also goes down to mastering your craft. So
Right.
that's also good on that side of it. Josh Leva, I was computer science major and switched to business. My advisor gave me the same speech. Man.
Man, we've never had that in my university. So for you guys, or maybe that was good because you guys had kind of like it was either a pep talk or I'll show you what I got.
Yeah.
Right? I'll
Well,
prove
the
you
funny
wrong.
thing is after I left those advisors to go switch to graphic design, I met with a graphic design professor and she told me, I don't know if you're meant for this or not.
Can you draw a circle? Yes. That's a square.
So I mean, how often does that happen? Well, you're gonna get those, right? That's an
Oh,
opinion from a person that's gonna tell
yeah,
you can't do something, or maybe you're not meant for something, and you're getting it. Imagine you're trying to get into something, and
yeah.
they're both telling you can't do it.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, that should be a fuel enough. But on the same time, we've also seen that it does help people. It's the fuel that drives them, or it's gonna shut them down.
Yeah, sure.
They're gonna say, you know what? They're
They're right.
right. Screw this. I'm not even
Yeah,
going to try.
yeah,
Why
exactly.
even go through any of this?
Right, right.
Remember, they told Michael Jordan he wasn't good at basketball.
Yeah, exactly right. And Kobe, right? He couldn't start,
Yeah.
or he was benched, or he didn't play well that one summer, and it
Mm-hmm.
only took him one summer to be the best player in a year.
All right. Let me see. All right. Next one. Number two. Oh, wait. Here we go. Number two. This one was different that I didn't really see from Kobe or expect.
Okay.
but understanding empathy and compassion. Because usually it's just like, Mamba mindset, right? And
Like
so he
like
said,
like hard, like
yeah,
hard.
exactly. He said that's where Wyatt said that Kobe was a complete jerk and would hate to be his teammate. So here it says Kobe said when he was a younger player, he didn't realize there was life outside of basketball.
Yep.
It was just playing, just getting better, better, and better. So he learned this at an early age. If he learned this early, he would have helped him become a better leader through communication, getting to know people on a personal level.
Correct.
So he said later on when he did win titles without Shaq, he was
Hmm.
able to talk to Gasol,
Yeah.
Odom, Bynum. They're all three different people,
Hmm.
but really get to know them. He said, what was their fears, insecurities, dreams, ambitions, desires, goals?
Hmm.
What are they trying to do? Talk to them individually, and I know with Paul Gasol, you got to talk to him in
Spanish. Yeah.
Spanish
Yeah.
and get to also same thing with who else did he able to talk to? Just building different relationships, even Odom too, visiting him in the
Yeah.
hospital,
Yeah.
whatever stuff he was doing.
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
at the same time, it's like I feel leadership as a business owner
Hmm.
or leadership as maybe the leader of your household,
Hmm.
maybe husband, wife, maybe family, things like that. How do you motivate other people in your own household and or business from that aspect of it?
I think
So
it's I remember that time when he was talking about that that transition of being a leader than just a good athlete. And Phil Jackson talked about it more too, and I think Phil was able to help him a lot more there, and that's when Kobe listened. It's like, hey, look, you gotta help this younger stars, and I mean we've seen the result, and it kind of goes in the same mindset that me and my wife have like in this business. I'm the leader, and it's not because I want to or I have to, for me, because she knows I've spent more time in research in doing this and in business, and she's seen it, right? Um, and I think there has to be a point that you have to be a leader in able for you to be able to get to the next level where you want to be. You can just be a good athlete or a good businessman, but I think if you're a better leader and a businessman, you can think of those things, empathy, compassion, and stuff like that. And this is kind of like this is where I kind of go soft with me and my wife, and I tell her it's like, babe, even though I'm making content with Glenn on YouTube, trying to help people, trying to get them better at their business, but I tell her like, but if I cannot influence you, and if I cannot make a good teamwork effort between us, that's useless. Because if I'm not a better leader here, that helps me become a better businessman, that fuels our business, I'm just, I feel like I'm a two-faced person because I'm here telling people this, but I can't even apply it.
yeah,
So for me,
exactly.
like that's where like empathy. So now I have to figure out what triggers my wife. I have to figure out what motivates her. What's her goal?
Yeah.
So that is something that that we discuss more often now, that like thinking like, okay, will doing this in our business help you achieve your goal? I tell her like, what's your goal? Like, not including me, what do you want to do?
Yeah.
And let me help you. Let me, let's support each other in achieving our goal. So I think that's very important. That's very important because that's how you truly can trust each other, when you truly spend time and know each other's goals.
So in the chat, I want to know: are you in a family business right now, or have you ever been in a family business? Now, it could be husband wife combo, or it could be, you know, I guess, well, family business, parents. I've worked with my parents. I've done that. Let's say just spouse, anything like that. In the chat, I want to know. It is very difficult. It's a
Hmm.
different dynamic because
Yeah.
sometimes like I would probably think too. Let's say for your wife, like it's like, are you talking to me as
as a
like
husband or
the
yeah,
husband and wife, or you're talking to me as like
business
as a
partner. Yeah,
business partner?
yeah.
Exactly. So sometimes those feelings or those talks get kind of like intertwined. You're like, hey, what's kind of going on here?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, family business is a totally different ball game. Never work with the parents. Partner is okay, says Nathan. Let me see. Solo SA. Let me see. But I take advice from like-minded friends. There we go. SA. What do you think about that dynamic, the whole husband and wife, and trying to figure out what you meant or not meant? Well, you got to clear it up through
Yeah,
communication,
so
but
we cleared it up because I mean, me and my wife know it that I'm a lot more logical thinker than she is. So when I recognize that emotion is coming through, and then for her, like me raising my voice triggers an emotional side of her on her side, and
yeah,
she's like, now I'm getting yelled at. He's not happy. I'm not good. So, so I would be like, babe, I reset is like this is business. I said, I am mad because I'm disappointed at us or at you. Tell me whose fault it is.
yeah,
And at the end of the day, it's gonna be my fault because I said I'm the leader,
yeah,
right? Taking responsibility. At the end of the day, I'm the one who wants her to help,
yeah,
right? Or we agreed each other that we would help each other. So either way, it's gonna be both of our faults, and I'm gonna be like, okay, this is for business talk, no emotions. I would say zero emotions, and that's when she calms down and be like, he's right, no emotions. This is logical. Are we gonna make money or not? Yeah, right. Was that a good business strategy or not? And it boils down to that. And I think it's simple, but sometimes it's hard because we assume things. The moment we assume things and it's not lining up to their assumption or their expectation, then there's gonna be a disconnect there. So for us it'd be like no emotions, business talk, strategy. That's
yeah.
kind of like I only say a few words, and then we both know each other's headspace at that point. It's like, okay, let's kind of like solution, like you and me, right? We have that thought, like, okay, it is what it is. Let's find solution.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think when trying to, so my wife has done, it just depends on, of course, like the buying part. Amazon FBA, she's also helped, like we've pre-packed things and like
Mm.
shoes and things like that. Check the size of the shoes. Then you're gonna put like the shoe trees in there. They're gonna, are some of them dirty for whatever reason? Like let's say the outlets. Like
Mhm.
sometimes you get them, they're a little dusty in the bottom. Now we're gonna clean that off, and then you're gonna put rubber bands over it, or the whatever plastic over it. It depends. So it's like step by step, also showing, and you also have to have that patience in you too when you're training somebody, whether it is your spouse or not. But it can get a little crazy, but you have to push through it and figure out the communication side. It's just always number one. Let me see in the chat, man. A lot of comments coming in. Big Money Mo. Let me go back up and see. They're saying Big Money Mo, you're blessed. I think Big Money Mo is saying that she doesn't question much.
Right.
And Big Money Mo gives her direction, I guess, what to work on.
Well, yeah, a lot
Ryan,
of I
oh, go
think a
ahead.
lot of that too with like it's kind of like simple to say, but people could assume like, oh, you're a boss, yada yada, right? Like she doesn't have her own opinion, but on the other side, it's his wife trusts him so much when he makes a call, they're all in,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that's where you know us partners you have to get to, right? And then when somebody makes a mistake, owning up, my bad, brush it off, move forward, and keep pulling triggers.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, that's what you gotta do because you can't always live on your failures. Like, oh, you did that last time. I'm not listening to you because you failed.
Mm-hmm.
If that ever happens, like that's very low level kind of like relationship and argument is like that you gotta get past that. You gotta get past that pointing the blame of what happened before, because if you truly know and if you truly understand that you both learned a lesson from that failure, then that was for the good at the end of the day. You learned a lesson.
Yeah.
and it shouldn't happen again. But if one of your spouses keep making the same mistake, 100% call them out and question them and everything they do.
Yeah.
Right? Keep losing money. That's why I tell my wife, babe, if we keep losing money on the triggers I'm pulling, question me and stop me and let me know, slap me and wake me up, because that's not my goal.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I mean, very good point to where, your wife also, because you think about it, I mean, this is your money. Yeah, it's a business, whatever, but you're making a living off of this money.
Yeah.
And if your wife can't trust you with the business decisions that you're making, the products
Mhm.
that you're bringing in,
Mm-hmm.
obviously that's going to bring in a totally different problem.
Yeah.
And we've seen this even with people that don't have a business, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Like going out with different couples, and the absolute worst part is when you're with different couples and one of them cuts down the other one in front of
Oh,
everybody.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
I already feel like, man, this is going downhill. And I told my wife too one time. I told her, I'm not gonna ever do that to you. Don't ever do that to me.
Right.
It's just like, if you have an issue, work it out,
Right.
behind closed, figure it out, communicate however, but
Right.
I don't know how bashing, the person you
Yeah.
love is in front of everybody is gonna
Yeah.
help. Like,
His
I don't know.
help. Right. Right. 100% it doesn't help. Right. Like, or not even love. Put it in the same place as shared interest. Right? If you guys, like in business, if you guys are partnered up to make money and to have a successful business, tearing each other down publicly is just not going to help.
Yeah.
Unless you have the intent to split up. 100%, I think that's the best way to do it. But if you have the intent of staying together and growing together, that definitely negates the purpose and the goal of what you're trying to accomplish.
I remember we were with one other couple, and my wife asked the other wife something, and then she just like, oh yeah, it's because he's lazy. And he was like the one driving the car. I'm like right next to him. She just like says whatever, like, oh yeah, he's lazy. Oh yeah, he's stupid. And I'm just like, why are you with a lazy, stupid person then? Like,
Right.
what's going on here?
Yeah, it's like, are you kept hostage or something like that, right? And that's what I tell everybody. It's like, if you really truly hate each other, split up. What's holding you back?
Yeah, man. Steven, my wife, has been original reseller since '97. We have learned a lot. Let me see, earned her respect and the items she resells. That's pretty awesome.
Nice.
Big Money Mo can't happen in our culture and in public. At home, it's a different story.
Oh.
That's when he says, "So, how about that game?"
Yeah, Glenn, what'd you do to help the dude out?
Yeah, well, I was just trying not to like pay attention to it. I was talking to him about something totally different, but at the same time, I could like hear just like, I'm hearing both. But I was like, oh man, this is rough. Let me see. My wife runs a coffee shop and sneakers shop. In the tattoo shop, she buys product. William Perry's talking about that trust.
Mhm.
All right, let's go to the next one. Number 3, you are never ready. So Kobe, when asked about going to the NBA from high school, Kobe said it wasn't about him being ready. He was determined to figure out how to get ready, and even if he was ready, he would still need to improve anyway.
That's true.
So he said the work is never going to stop. He saw the league as a learning opportunity, and he asked himself, do you want to go to the NBA and learn from the best? Or do you want to go to college, which I think he said he would be going to Duke and playing college ball. And instead he figured learning from the best, going to the NBA. And so I would probably relate this to jumping to becoming a full-time reseller. Like, I honestly don't believe you're never ready. You can plan all you want,
right,
until you actually have and you see that freedom of not going into the office, not clocking in, And now it's like, man, I got to make money on my own time for me, for my family, whatever I'm going to do. Now you're all in. Now you get to really see what this is about. And you can prepare all you want mentally and capital and figure out what you want to do for shipping and sourcing, things like that. But until you're actually full time, you're going to make changes and learn, along the way. Mm-hmm. But you shouldn't jump into it either thinking, man, I've done so well part-time. I know everything.
Right.
Full-time's going to be a breeze.
Yeah. I mean, even us going year to year, now that we have a few years under our belt reselling,
mm-hmm.
when we set goals, we thought 2020 was it, right? And then you're never ready, right? Like everything was lined up perfectly, and then things happen that you're not ready. And I kind of like that mentality, that because for me it works for me. I understand it so much because I know myself as a risk taker. So it's kind of like in me that I'm not ready for it, but I'll learn my way to it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's been a lot of kind of like experience of failing that I realized, like, okay, I know I'm not ready. Now this is what I need to do to kind of just like survive, right? And it's like that's what I did. Like, okay, I'm not ready for jumping to reselling, right? The numbers didn't show I was ready, but what the numbers told me that I just need to make $400 a week to make ends meet. So okay, I figured out, okay, I'm not ready to make to rely on this income yet. So let me drive for Uber and make $400 a week, and then after that I'll do my reselling.
Yeah.
So it's either you could do it that way, or I tell everybody, like, if you can save up 6 months of your monthly expenses, but who can do that so quick though?
Yeah.
Nobody can, right? Like if I tell you, right, okay, my monthly expense $5,000. Okay, you want to jump into reselling? Make sure you have 30 grand and put it on savings. I'm like, yeah, you by the time you get the 30 grand, the reselling game has changed so much already. Now you're not ready again.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? So yeah, I believe it's just a matter of making the decision, and then right, like expect for the worst, right? Hope for the best and expect for the worst, and figure out what do you need to survive. And after that, if you have a bed to sleep on, some clothes, and
food,
some money, food, right? Food can go after, man. $1 cheeseburger from McDonald's. Dude, I was loyal to McDonald's for my first year. Ramen 69 cents. I know how much it costs because I ate. If you want a ball, there's 3 for $10 frozen pizza.
Yeah,
right?
We're not saying you're going to be the healthiest reseller,
no,
but you're getting it going.
You can get it going. Nobody died doing it for 3 months to a year. I tried it. I didn't die.
Well, I think a very good point saying that, the work is never going to stop, because how many times have we seen it? Like, what about when eBay jumped in and like, hey, no more fees?
Yeah. Like, were we ready?
That was a change, right? Yeah, for the better that we didn't think.
Yeah, but we had to catch up so much that now, like, man, I wish all my inventory were 100 plus. Right?
What am I doing with this dookie here?
Yeah.
So that was a different change. What we've seen, other, I guess, StockX, Go, things like that. They have different rules to their own platforms. So obviously that's going to be a change. We've talked about, what about Marshalls? Is their Nike contract done? Are they not going to get any Nike anymore? Right. What about Ross? We've seen the slowest seasons.
Yeah.
You're always going to be making changes. You're always going to be seeing how you can get different inventory in. We talked about suppliers, because people always like, hey, how do you get suppliers? How do you get these shoes coming in? Supplier could cut you off.
Exactly.
Then what?
And it's not like it's never happened. It's happened before, multiple times.
Yeah.
Some dude just offers more and you're gone.
Let me see. I was so ready going full time. I surprised myself. Big Money Mo.
Yeah.
Let me see. Fly kicks. I got to keep my career job. This reselling is part time, which is good too, because that's the thing is, I guess I would say if your goal is to become full time reseller and you've been on the edge, you've been thinking about it over and over and over again,
Mm.
and when are you going to make that move? We're going to make that jump.
Right.
Then I would say that. But for the most part, if you can do both, I
Yeah.
think, I mean, that's great too. Like any way you can
Yeah.
to keep bringing that money in.
And man, if I was such a good worker, I would do both.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I'm just terrible. Like I almost got fired being late. And then I that story that I actually told everybody started 9 to 5. I couldn't make it to 9. I only had a 15-minute drive. I couldn't make it. And then I pulled out the numbers. Like, look, this is what I bring in. This is the kind of performance I bring. Can I switch to 10 to 6? And he said, and my boss said yes. So,
Oh, okay.
but at the end of the day, right? Like, if I would have kept that job, man, it was fun for me. But I'm just terrible. Like, I want to take 2 hour lunches. I get written up for it. Um, so I'm just a terrible worker. So I can't do it. If I was better, 100%, yeah.
Wyatt, wish me luck scooping by Burlington soon. Hope you get all the fines. Patrick, thankful for Ross, Burlington, Marshalls when I first started. Now shifting to both buying online sourcing. Went full time October 2020 after 2 years of part time reselling. So, got that part time, couple of years already invested in that. So you're learning, you're growing, and then you're making that jump. So, all right, let's go to number 4. Now, B is gonna I think this is probably gonna be B's favorite.
Oh,
And this is people in the chat said this too. Kobe was a jerk. Jordan was a jerk. Number 4, demand excellence. People have always had issues or problems, or the people that I've always had issues and problems with are the people that have never demanded excellence for themselves. Kobe said, I won't tolerate that. It is my responsibility on the team as a leader to hold themselves accountable. If we just played back-to-back games and we had practice the next day, your ass better be there because I just finished lifting for 2 hours, so you better be ready. I hold guys to a higher standard.
yeah. Well, sometimes, and this is my argument. I always say that, right? And then I've heard this from my mother's mouth. My mom said, "But Ken, they're not built like you, right?" And this was during me when I was like more mature. I was like, I wasn't just being a jerk. And this is when, and in my mom's the person that knows me the most. And this is when usually my mom argues back, like you're wrong, yada yada yada. And this is the first time I've heard her say, is like, you're right, but they're not built like you. They don't think like you. So she actually kind of like a question, like, is your expectation a lot too high that they're disappointing you?
Yeah.
Right. And then my mom said, what I'm afraid of is that you're not gonna have people around you because they're gonna keep disappointing you.
Mm.
And the smart bee always has something to say, and this is what I had to say. But mom, I'm not even asking excellence from them. I'm just asking them to be par, to be
Yeah.
average, or asking them to show up and asking them to be on time. Because sometimes showing up and being on time is hard for a lot of people already.
I mean, it was hard for you, right? Because there was no passion.
Yeah, exactly.
Because you didn't want to be there.
Right. That's what I'm saying. If I don't want to be part of it, if I don't really, I can't, if I can't see myself passionate about it, I'd rather not be there.
Yeah.
Because I'd rather just show up, and just show up for what? Just to be there. So that's my thing, and that's, I think that's the reason why I don't hang out with a lot of people, because I know people will disappoint me because they're gonna talk a lot, and that's gonna set the bar, but their action is not gonna reflect what they talk about. So for me, it's like, okay, you're like 80% talk, 20% do.
Yeah.
So, I don't want to be there. I want to be like you. Like, right? Like, I'm not gonna have that lunch with you. But, but, but yeah, like for that has to be the standard, right? Like, because again, my favorite word, never settle. So, it has to be excellent. And then I ask myself, it's like, is that the best you can do?
Yeah.
I ask myself that, and then I ask that on people. Like, okay, is this the product? Is this the best you can do? Is this the best shipping policy you can? Is this the best packaging that you can do? Is this the best photo you can take?
Yeah.
And if you tell me it's not the best, then I'm like, you're shorting yourself, right? Like you're like you're I would say you're positioning yourself for failure,
Yeah.
because it's easy to tell, like, is this the best listing, and be like, oh no, I copied it off somebody. Yeah, you're selling a size 8. That listing you copied was for a size 10,
Yeah.
and you didn't change any item specifics. So don't tell me you want to succeed and then you're just going to show up like this. So that's not excellence. And at the end of the day, your best might not be my best, but at the end of the day, if you truly did your best, I'll be fine with that. That's what my mom told me one time. Hey son, if that was your best, I'm cool with it.
Yeah.
And then my mom would always say, but I know that wasn't your best. And that's when it's like, I get mad again. I was like, you're asking too much, but she wasn't really. I was just being a brat.
Well, a very good point. I think even with the photo standpoint, I mean, we've talked to people, even through, I guess, through this, like StreamYard or Skype, and even through email, and
Mhm.
seeing the photos, and we've seen them change their photos from the good old, let me
Yeah,
just lay this shoe on my bed photo to actually getting great
yeah.
lighting. And then we've seen sales come through, and I was like,
And it took them 24 hours to redo everything.
mm-hmm,
And like, really, like, you sacrifice the good photos for 24 hours of not doing anything.
yeah,
Because at the end of the day, even in business, you can truly change something in your business that's lacking within 24 hours.
yeah,
Terrible listing, 24 hours. Terrible photos, 24 hours. Horrible inventory system, 24 hours. Because what? You could go to Home Depot and buy boxes, crates, and,
bins,
and what was that? Bins,
bins or
yeah,
whatever.
bins and racks. That's not a custom made order.
Yeah,
And right, like, exactly, like, what's something that we need custom made? Nothing.
yeah,
Everything that we need to organize and get our business going efficiently can be bought in store.
yes, sir. Now let's go back one step and then two steps. The first step, I would go back that, like, I mean, even if you're already watching this and listening to this, you're probably not like most other people anyway, because I mean, we're reselling. We have our own business. That's a different story. And you're gonna notice, if you haven't already, a lot of the things that you've had in common with people from, we talked about this too: grade school, middle school, high school buddies, college
Right.
buddies, family. They don't understand what you're doing. They don't care what you're doing. Even if they do ask questions, they don't really 100% get it anyway. And so you're going to see a lot more of that. Why? Because you may not have the 8 to 5, the 9 to 5, that same job. Because when you have that in common, then you're able to talk more about that. How was work? Ah, it sucks. Oh yeah, me too. Happens
Right.
over and over again. Now going back 2 steps, with demand excellence, Kobe's talking about being a leader. And when you did work, and when I did work, and for everybody else that is working, the bosses that you remember the most that did do a good job were the ones that were with you putting in the work to make sure you get things done, you get things out, make sure you leave on time, things like
Right.
that. Like working retail, the best boss we had were the ones that are like, hey man, we're gonna get out of here on time. What do you need help on? He's asking what we need help on as our regular workers.
Right.
He's the manager, and he's out there helping out on those sections to make sure we get it done. Other side of it, we had bosses that were like, we better get out of here at this time. and then they went to the back and they just chill
That, yeah.
watching movies.
Right. Right.
And so those are the ones you do remember,
Mm-hmm.
but for the worst reasons.
Yeah.
You know, they weren't an actual leader. They weren't really to put in the work, you know? What do you think about that? I guess, I mean, you've had bosses. I'm pretty sure you've
Oh, yeah.
had, you know,
Yeah,
good, I mean, you had good ones, you had bad ones, but.
yeah, the good bosses actually challenged me to do better things than I thought, right? Like to hit. I mean, the good bosses that I had were the ones crazy enough to set crazy goals on me.
Mm.
Now I'm like, you're crazy. I can't do that. I was like, oh, I thought you were good. Show me. So they did motivate me, right?
Yeah.
And they did reward me. Like they gave me company cards, like go have lunch wherever you want. And then I came back, they saw the bills. Like I didn't tell you to eat there. You told me wherever I want.
That's where you made your mistake.
Yeah, right. Like I'd order like a $30 pizza, and then I'll just take two people with me. I was like, what? I was like, yeah. I mean, you told me, but yeah. The horrible bosses are the ones that just barks, right? And they weren't really leaders. They were just on top of you because of the title that they held, right?
Mm-hmm.
But there were people. I had co-supervisors during that time that weren't my superior, but they were leaders and was able to help me grow in certain things and be like, hey Ken, watch this kind of metrics that you might not be able to see. So in some way they were mentoring me to succeed more, right? And now they're so those are the people that yeah, you tend to remember because they were the ones that were with you and they understood you. You know, they gave you leeways when you needed leeways. You know, they gave you some perks when you needed some perks. But yeah, you have to be able to identify those people and then listen to those certain people and who these people that you shouldn't listen to. And then now that you're on your own trying to be a leader, right? Remember those lessons and
Mm-hmm.
kind of like be that be that leader that you wanted to have.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Then go back to the chat and see. I haven't heard how's work in 3 years, Miles. Let me see. Oh, Patrick says you probably went to go eat Korean barbecue. That's why the
Oh,
bill came super
yeah, we
high.
didn't have Korean barbecue still then when I worked. If we had, they'd be in trouble.
Steven, it was definitely great. It is definitely great to get the wife involved. You have to have fun, make profit, learn from each other, definitely. And also, you know, when things do sell, I mean, I see it all the time with Ken and his wife. When something sells, whether we're on Out Hustled or I'm talking to him on here, they're both excited because
Right.
they both put in the work to
Yeah.
get this. You know what I mean? So it's like,
Yeah.
I like seeing that. They're both super pumped.
Yeah.
And that's something that's great to see people share, like what
Right.
Steven's saying here.
For sure. For sure.
One Kick Finder store manager of footwear myself. I've always had a solid crew and good looking store. I was able to keep my people because you lead by example and not be a dictator.
True.
So for sure, and you've seen this all the time too, even in retail stores that you're trying. Let's say you're working with someone Nike Outlet
Yeah.
or Foot Action or something, right? And the manager, they have different crews all the time. They're in and out, people leaving. Now, are they leaving because they don't want to work? Or are they leaving because they hate the environment? They don't like the pay? What are the reasons why some of these people are leaving? I've seen good managers at Nike Outlet to where like, and you even asking the worker like, hey, how's it here? Blah, blah, blah. And they love it. And then you see the ones that like, I can't stand this dude, blah, blah, blah. Like you get the good, you get the bad.
Yeah, I mean, like you'll see the good people working for the good leader, and they're the ones that's actually adjusting their shift. So for me, like that's kind of how it's about. Like, oh, this is a good manager, and you can almost tell that they have good workers during that time because they would just bunch up together and work together.
Yes, sir. All right, let's get to the last one. Number 5, outwork your potential. So Kobe said he became a sponge once he went into the NBA. However hard you think you can work even harder than that. Especially from just the basic part of the game, like shooting, blah, blah, blah. For him, he asked a lot of questions like Eddie Jones, How do you get off a screen so fast? Like
Right.
small details. Byron Scott, Magic, Van Exel. What happened here? How did you feel? How did you get this speed? Different questions on small little details that helped him get over that edge. Wasn't just basic stuff, shooting, handles,
Yeah.
dunks. It wasn't just the basics, it was getting further than that. To relate that to us, I would say, outside of just the sourcing, the listing, the shipping, those are pretty much the basics. And yes, sourcing's the funnest part,
Right.
but those are pretty much the basics that keep our business going. But sponge, when he's saying becoming a sponge, for you, it might be like watching videos like you're watching this one. Maybe you watched all of the Hustler Hacks videos. You've watched all these other reselling videos, listening to different podcasts, going through comps. Like you want to learn a new brand,
Right.
type in Converse and figure it out.
Yeah.
You
Exactly.
can scroll through that for hours to
Mhm.
figure out different brands, different models that are going to be making you money. You're finding new brands, finding new niches. Hey, I never really paid attention to women's activewear.
Right.
Maybe I should try it out. Maybe I should do research. You're looking outside of that.
Mhm.
New stores that are being built. Maybe new routes. How can I get quicker? How can I get faster? New ways to store your own items. I don't like the way I've been pre-packing stuff. How can I make it cleaner, more efficient? Saving money on shipping, like B also said, figuring out your capital, asking questions to other resellers. You see them here in the chat, you see them on IG, getting to know other people and asking more questions that way. There's a lot of different things you can do to improve on our side business-wise.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty much kind of like how my social media developed. Like I wasn't really trying to, kind of like create hustle be. That was kind of like an afterthought. I just created it to learn from people pretty much, and I think it kind of expedited my learning process because now that I'm looking back to kind of like how I did progress so fast in my first year, it was because I was never afraid to ask questions and to reach out. And people saw me in so many different channels. That was only because I reached out to them and asked them questions, and then in return they got to know my story, and then they're like, okay, well, let me interview you then, right? So um that was the biggest game changer for me because that's pretty much how I I learned because I was paying attention to what they were doing. I mean, even to a point like I was paying attention, like, oh man, this guy's got 2,000 listings, and then I would go DM him like, hey, how do you store your stuff? Like how long have you been doing this? Because now I'm kind of like gauging. It's like, can I do this within the next 3 months? And if not, I have to readjust my goals, and kind of like figuring out. Like I remember there was a time when me and Glenn were learning Nordstrom rack,
Yeah.
and I was like, yo, you gotta hit up your Nordstrom rack. I just saw this. I was like, I don't know what kind, the brand Fry, the brand Bed Stew, all this kind of women's brand, and like Hunter boots. We didn't have a clue. We tried, like we did it, and now it's like, okay, learn my lesson not to pick up size 5 in women, size 6 in women, right? And it's like, and all of that was because like we're able to try, and I actually asked a lot of women resellers for that, and then they're like looking at me like, well, you sell a lot of sneakers, and they pretty much just told me it's the same process,
Yeah.
right? So because what I'm thinking, like when you talk about your potential, right? Like for now, for me, if you think about your potential right now, right? Let's just say if you put it in numbers wise, like, okay, in Q4 I'm gonna be able to do, let's say, $50,000 more than I did last year,
Mm.
right? So that's me thinking of what I could possibly do in the future. But that's not me accounting everything that I will learn from now until Q4.
Yeah.
That's not accounting to how hard I'm going to hustle from now until Q4. And almost 100% of the time, when you're actually pursuing a certain goal, you're going to beat it and you're gonna exceed that goal.
Yeah.
Because I can tell you that because it's been a part of my story. My story was to make 6 figures on eBay in gross sales. Next thing you know, I achieved that, and I was like, whoa, like, okay, that was good. So now let's get to the next level, and then you achieve it. Because if you're actively pursuing something, you shouldn't be surprised that you're gonna beat your said potential in the past, right? So now I'm gonna be like, even if I say like I'm gonna make 100,000 more this year, I could easily possibly could if I do not all the right things, if I just do a series of right things leading leading to that end goal.
Yeah. One Kick Finder, I took advice from the bee, and after I take pictures on my apparel, I pre-bag it, and put it in the bin. Once it sells, it's ready to go. I did that all weekend. Make sure everything's set. I just went on a full listing spree. I got everything pre-bagged, everything stored, and like everything is. So that, yeah, definitely going to save you time once everything sells. But going back, I remember when, B was asking me questions, and he had joined groups, he had talked to other YouTubers as
Yeah.
well and asked different questions. And that was one of the things that I remember, I would think, from the very beginning with like B starting out, was that he did take a lot of bits and pieces from different sellers and what they were doing, what was working for them. Ultimately, I know one of the main ones that we did see too was like mastering your craft was almost like the number one tip and thing that you figured out. You figured out also that, a lot of the stores that people had where they were all over the place weren't the most successful stores, because they
Right.
had so many different types of items
Mhm.
that, from storage to sales to
Right.
what their items were worth, it
Right.
wasn't all there compared to the people that were just all focused on that one type of items.
Right. I mean, and we saw it, and when we went to eBay Open, like we start talking to people that were pulling 7 figures, $1 million sellers,
Mm-hmm.
and you ask them, um, and then like one guy responded like, "I sell used car parts." I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, "That's it? You don't sell cars? You don't sell houses?" Like you start to think, and then there was this guy that, one person, was selling poly bags, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's all they did, and then one person was selling bike parts. I was
Yeah.
like, how specific was that, right?
Yeah.
That's all they did, bike parts. And then I was like, and then some guy was just doing antique jewelries. I was like, why don't you do modern jewelries,
Yeah.
right? And then that was the thing, because like I did gather a lot of information and a lot of kind of like what to buy, but I realized, I was like, wait a minute, like, if looking back, there are systems in place that get you to your goal faster. Example, if you want to be a lawyer, you definitely want to stick to going to school to become a lawyer for the next 7 years, 8 years. You're not gonna become a lawyer if you switch to business, to graphic designing, to nursing, and then you think 7 years you're gonna be a good lawyer, right? Like, that's not gonna happen, right? Like, and then the same phrases that I use. The people that are being paid the most in this world are the masters of their craft, the
Yeah.
ones that have PhD, master's degree, have multiple internships in that industry, right? Don't expect that I'm gonna be a really good uh, posh uh, posh consultant, Poshmark consultant in the next 5 years, because I've mastered eBay in the last 5 years. I'm not gonna be really good at Posh, but if you tell me you want to consult with eBay, I can definitely say like, okay, I've learned this craft. This is what I've made, and I can take you to where from here to here. So,
Yeah.
I think that was very important. I mean, like, again, it's going back to mastering your craft. We're talking about it again, Glenn. It's not even our topic, but
I know. I
that's
gotta.
Mamba mentality, bro. That is Mamba mentality. Focusing on one thing at a time, focusing and working on that weakness one at a time, right? Remember, like, I think he was one of the first guys that had, correct me if I'm wrong. he had one-on-one coaching with Hakeem, right?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, so he was one of like the ball handling shooting guards, or not a big man that took that, and then now everybody takes it,
Yeah.
right? But he was mastering his forward, his pivots, and he saw that as as an area of improvement for himself, and he went and got advice from the best.
Yes, sir. And it looks like Looking Three Legs, so many ways to win out there. Ah, for sure. I mean, bike parks don't, really excite me, or poly bags don't turn me on. But
Yeah,
hey, if you can make that money,
right,
and
right.
hey, 7-figure sellers too, not even
Yeah,
playing around, little
no,
sellers. This is the big
no,
time money.
yeah, yeah. Yeah,
So man,
yeah.
there's
It,
so
it,
many
it was
ways.
hard to find a seven-figure seller. Like, I saw everything. I saw everything that I can make money on. I chase bolos. It's hard to find somebody that truly makes seven figures, and all they do is chase bolos. Hard,
Yeah.
because they're mastering the chasing. They're not mastering a craft.
Yeah. Let me see in the chat. Anything else before we go? So here's the 5. Number 1, what fuels you? Number 2, understanding empathy and compassion. Number 3, you are never ready. Number 4, demand excellence. And number 5, outwork your potential. And this is like a small sample, like I said. It might have to be a Mamba Mentality every month, once
Yeah,
a month or
you
something,
have to.
maybe to start off the month,
Yeah,
since
not
this is
like
our
me.
first show
That
of the
is
month.
good. That is good. We have to do that every first Monday now.
Yeah.
Mamba Mentality Mindset Monday.
Yeah, that was a small sample. There's like so many other things in the notes. I was like, man, this thing could just keep going and going. But
100%.
yeah, tomorrow's video, we'll do Thrifty Tuesday, see what's out there. Wednesday, we have our show that we normally do for Wednesday. Different changes to StockX, trying to dip in a little bit and lower fees to try to get people in for this month. Did you get that email?
I
Or
didn't
maybe you
pay.
didn't see it yet, but like seller 4, seller 5, or level
Oh, they
4,
they
level
added
5.
more levels, right? Right. Yeah, I
Yeah,
heard about
added
that.
more levels, and then you get different percentage off or something. So I think they're trying. Maybe they're feeling heat from eBay. I don't know.
Yeah.
But we'll see what they decide. We'll talk about that on Wednesday, as well as the drops and what people have been finding
Man,
out there at the stores.
7% fee?
7%.
7% more than eBay.
Exactly. Come on, StockX. Who's trying to kid here?
Yeah, well, where's the free seller fee there?
So, all right, we'll see you guys on Wednesday for the live show. Hope you enjoyed this one. For Mindset Monday, go out and get it.